Hey there, welcome back to the channel, a calm, thoughtful space for those of us growing older. With clarity, confidence, and quiet strength. If you've been feeling more drawn to solitude lately, less interested in socializing, and maybe even wondering, is something wrong with me? This video is for you. Because the truth is, you're not fading, you're evolving. Let's talk about why choosing peace over people isn't a problem. It's a powerful transformation. You know that feeling when the phone rings and instead of answering you let it go to voicemail, or when someone knocks at your door and you suddenly go still, quietly hoping they'll just walk away without you having to say a word. That's not just you, and it's not weird even if a part of you starts wondering, am I becoming antisocial or maybe even a little cold? Here's the truth you won't hear often, and it might just bring you some peace. You're not turning into a grumpy recluse, and there's nothing wrong with you at all. You're simply getting older, and with age comes something deeply powerful that few people talk about: the increasing desire for quiet, for space, for less noise, and fewer demands on your time and energy. You start to feel more at home in your own company. Your conversations with yourself become more meaningful than small talk with strangers. You begin to notice the beauty in stillness and how good it feels to just be without having to explain, justify, or entertain anyone else. And that shift, it's not a weakness or a loss, it's a kind of wisdom settling in. It's your soul choosing peace over pressure, your spirit reaching for simplicity instead of constant connection. So if you've been wondering why you crave more time alone, why your patience for meaningless chatter seems to be shrinking, or why silence feels like a warm blanket rather than a lonely space, know this: it's not something to fix, it's something to embrace. Because you're not fading, you're evolving. Number 1, your tolerance for nonsense slowly disappears, and you may not even notice it at first. But one day you realize something has shifted. The things you used to entertain now feel exhausting. The people you once tolerated now feel heavy. The conversations that once filled the silence now just feel empty. When you're younger, you put up with a lot. You say yes when you mean no. You laugh just to be polite. You nod along even when the words being spoken make your skin crawl. You sit through family drama. You carry one-sided friendships. You let flaky people in, and you accept small talk as a normal part of life. But with time, something inside you changes. Your patience becomes sacred. Your energy becomes precious. Your peace becomes non-negotiable. And suddenly you find yourself pulling away from all the noise that once surrounded you. You stop laughing at jokes that are unkind or unfunny. You no longer pretend to agree just to avoid conflict. You walk away from conversations that leave you feeling drained instead of uplifted. You let people go without guilt when you realize they only show up when they need something. And no, it's not rude, it's not selfish, it's not dramatic, it's wisdom. It's self-respect. It's the beautiful, quiet courage of choosing your own well-being over empty obligations. You've learned to recognize emotional noise, and now without apology you're finally giving yourself permission to turn the volume down and enjoy the calm that follows. Number 2, your priorities begin to shift, and it happens so quietly that you barely notice until one day you wake up and realize the things that once felt urgent now feel irrelevant. The people you used to bend over backward for now barely cross your mind, and the goals you once chased no longer align with the person you've become. You stop asking, who should I see today? And instead you start asking, who actually nourishes me? Who makes me feel safe, seen, understood? Who leaves me feeling better, not bitter? Who fills my cup instead of draining it dry? You stop chasing a full calendar. You no longer measure your worth by how many people want your time or how packed your schedule looks to the outside world. You realize that being busy is not the same as being fulfilled, and that sometimes the most valuable days are the ones where nothing is planned and everything is peaceful. You stop needing to be liked by everyone, because finally you see how costly that need can be. You let go of the masks, the performances, the endless pleasing, and instead you start showing up as yourself fully and freely without worrying who approves what you want. Now is peace, the kind that comes from deeper conversations that actually mean something, the kind that lives in fewer obligations and simpler days, the kind that grows from real, honest connection. And when none of that is around, you find comfort in silence, not the silence of loneliness, but the silence that feels like a deep, long exhale. Because that stillness, that calm, that quiet pull inward, it's not something to fear, it's not emptiness. It's clarity. It's you finally listening to your own voice above all the noise. Number 3. Grief quietly reshapes your world in ways you never expected. It doesn't always arrive loudly with tears and goodbyes. Sometimes it shows up in silence. In the empty chair, at the table, in the phone that no longer rings, in the birthdays that come and go. Without the voice you used to hear on the other end. As you age, people leave, not always in dramatic ways, sometimes through distance, sometimes through loss. Sometimes they just drift away, and you slowly begin to notice that your once vibrant social circle starts to fade. Certain faces disappear, certain names are no longer spoken, certain bonds that once felt unbreakable are now just distant memories. Friends move on, loved ones pass, relationships shift, and with each goodbye your world grows a little quieter, a little smaller, but not necessarily sadder, just different. And while some people try to rebuild what was lost, reaching out, trying to fill the empty spaces, others do not because they are broken, not because they have given up, but because they have come to understand something deeper. You begin to realize your energy is not endless, your time is not guaranteed, and your heart, which is already stretched and broken and healed in 1,000 quiet ways, now craves something softer, something safer, something real. You no longer feel the need to force connections that no longer fit. You stop chasing conversations that leave you hollow. You stop explaining yourself to those who never really listened in the first place, and instead you gravitate toward what feels gentle, familiar, sincere, or even toward nothing at all. Just the soft stillness of your own company. It is not loneliness, it is awareness. It is not giving up, it is growing wiser. It is not isolation, it is choosing peace over performance, depth over noise, presence over pressure. Ethos is the quiet beauty of aging, not in spite of grief, but shaped by it, softened by it, strengthened by it. ***. Number 4. Social fatigue sets in, not the kind of tired that a quick nap or a good night's sleep can fix, but the deep, slow kind that settles into your bones after years, maybe even decades of managing other people's emotions. You've been the listener, the fixer, the peacemaker, the one who smoothed things over. Even when your own heart felt uneasy, you've played the roles beautifully. You've smiled when you were tired, you've stayed when you wanted to leave. You've laughed to keep the peace even when the joke wasn't funny, and somewhere along the way, you started to believe that this was just how life worked, that being liked meant being available, that being good meant being agreeable. But now something inside you has shifted, maybe quietly, maybe all at once, and you've begun to feel just how heavy social energy can be, especially when it's spent on people who leave you feeling more tired than fulfilled. A 1-hour lunch with the wrong person can drain you for the rest of the day. And suddenly, the idea of canceling plans or saying no without explanation feels like freedom, not guilt. You begin to guard your quiet like it's something sacred, and the truth is it's the space where you can breathe, where you can be, where you don't have to perform or pretend. And here's something that most people won't say out loud. Older people are not always lonely. In fact, many are deeply content being alone. They have come to enjoy their own company. They find peace in silence. They find joy in simplicity. They don't need constant noise or constant contact to feel elevates. Not that they've given up on people, it's that they've stopped needing approval to feel whole. They've stopped chasing conversations that feel empty. They've learned that presence doesn't always require others, and that solitude, when chosen with love, is one of the richest, most healing experiences there is. It's not sadness, it's wisdom. It's not avoidance, it's alignment. It's not loneliness, it's the beautiful gift of knowing yourself so well that your own quiet becomes your favorite place to be. ****. Number 5. Social fatigue sets in, not the kind of tired that a quick nap or a good night's sleep can fix, but the deep, slow kind that settles into your bones after years, maybe even decades of managing other people's emotions. You've been the listener, the fixer, the peacemaker, the one who smoothed things over. Even when your own heart felt uneasy, you've played the roles beautifully. You've smiled when you were tired, you've stayed when you wanted to leave. You've laughed to keep the peace even when the joke wasn't funny, and somewhere along the way you started to believe that this was just how life worked, that being liked meant being available, that being good meant being agreeable. But now something inside you has shifted, maybe quietly, maybe all at once, and you've begun to feel just how heavy social energy can be, especially when it's spent on people who leave you feeling more tired than fulfilled. A 1-hour lunch with the wrong person can drain you for the rest of the day, and suddenly the idea of canceling plans Or saying no without explanation feels like freedom, not guilt. You begin to guard your quiet, like it's something sacred, and the truth is it's the space where you can breathe, where you can be, where you don't have to perform or pretend. And here's something that most people won't say out loud: older people are not always lonely. In fact, many are deeply content being alone. They have come to enjoy their own company. They find peace in silence. They find joy in simplicity. They don't need constant noise or constant contact to feel alive. It's not that they've given up on people. It's that they've stopped needing approval to feel whole. They've stopped chasing conversations that feel empty. They've learned that presence doesn't always require others, and that solitude, when chosen with love, is one of the richest, most healing experiences there is. It's not sadness, it's wisdom. It's not avoidance, it's alignment. It's not loneliness, it's the beautiful gift of knowing yourself so well that your own quiet becomes your favorite place to be. Her is an expanded and emotionally rich version of the text, with no commas, dashes, or full stops to match your formatting style. Social fatigue begins to settle in, and not the kind you can sleep off or shake with a quick cup of coffee. This is the deep quiet kind that creeps in after years of being everything for everyone. The fatigue of always holding space for others, of smiling when you were tired, of listening when no one asked how you were doing, of absorbing tension and smoothing edges and keeping the peace even when it cost you your own. You've been the one to hold families together, to soften awkward silences, to make others comfortable, while quietly pushing your own discomfort to the side. You've said yes when your heart whispered no. You've stayed too long in conversations that drained you because it felt like the kind thing to do, and you did it not once, not twice, but for decades, because that was the role you thought you had to play. But now something inside you is changing. Your spirit feels it before your words can explain it. You've started to notice how heavy a simple lunch can feel when it's spent with the wrong person. How even a brief phone call with someone who talks more than they listen can leave you needing the rest of the day to recover. So you begin to say no more often, not out of anger or judgment, but out of quiet self-respect. You cancel plans without guilt. You decline invitations that don't feel right. You stop explaining your boundaries to people who never respected them in the first place. And you begin to treat your quiet like it is sacred, because you've come to understand that it truly is. And here's something few are brave enough to say out loud: older people are not always lonely. In fact, many are deeply satisfied being alone. They have stopped performing for acceptance. They have stopped apologizing for needing rest. They have discovered the richness of their own company, and it is not empty, it is not sad. It is peaceful and whole and deeply rewarding. It's society that doesn't understand that kind of happiness, the kind that isn't loud or busy or visible, the kind that comes from within, from knowing yourself, from honoring your limits, from choosing stillness over noise. This isn't loneliness, it's clarity. It's not withdrawal, it's wisdom. It's not isolation, it's freedom, and you have earned every bit of it. Asterisk number 6. Time becomes more precious in a way that only age can teach you. When you are young, time feels endless, and feels like nothing. You give it away without thinking. You spend it on things and people and plans that don't always matter, and you believe there will always be more tomorrow, more time to spare, more chances to waste. But as the years pass, something begins to shift. You start to feel time in your bones. You begin to see it not as a river that runs forever, but as a stream that flows quietly, steadily, and always forward. And suddenly an hour feels golden, a morning feels sacred, a quiet afternoon feels like a gift you don't want to hand away too easily. You start to think twice before giving your time to just anyone. Every conversation, every visit, every plan becomes a choice, not an obligation. And you begin to ask yourself, does this fill me or drain me? Does this bring me peace or pull me away from it? You become selective, not because you are bitter or closed off, but because you understand the value of your presence and the cost of your energy. You no longer show up out of guilt. You no longer say yes out of fear. You protect your minutes the way someone protects their most cherished belongings, because you know now they cannot be replaced. Sometimes that means choosing your own company over anyone else's, sitting in silence instead of enduring small talk, staying home instead of rushing from one event to another, not because you are lonely, but because you are deeply content with yourself and your space. In this choice, this shift, this quiet claiming of your time is not selfish. It is not rooted as self-respect. It is clarity. It is wisdom earned not through books or advice, but through living, through learning, through watching the clock tick and realizing that what you do with your time is what you do with your life, so you spend it more wisely, more intentionally, more lovingly. Sometimes that means saying no, sometimes that means doing nothing at all, and sometimes that means giving your time only to what truly matters, to what truly feels like home. Asterisk, asterisk. Now here's the part people around you may not get. They'll say things like you've changed, and they're right, you have. You're no longer living to make others comfortable, you're finally living for yourself. You're not becoming cold, you're becoming clear. This shift isn't just about protecting time or avoiding stress, it's about seeing life through a sharper lens. You no longer need 3 arguments to know someone isn't right for you. One conversation tells you everything, and so you step back, you simplify, you stop explaining yourself. You no longer owe your presence to anyone who hasn't earned it. There's another layer, emotional labor. Maybe you were the one who always called first, kept the family together, planned the get-togethers, but now you're asking who's checking on me, and if the answer is no one, you start stepping out of that caretaker role, not out of anger, but because you're finally honoring your own needs. Some people may drift away when you stop carrying them, but those who stay, they're your real one. As physical changes play a part too. Your body tires faster, noise feels louder, the energy needed to socialize sometimes just isn't there. So you start choosing quiet afternoons over long nights, peace over performance. Others also an identity shift. Maybe you're no longer working or raising kids, your roles have changed. And so have your relationships. The connections that once made sense may no longer feel as strong. And that's okay, you're not meant to hold on to everyone forever. In fact, letting go is part of becoming who you're really meant to be. Less stimulation, more meaning, less noise, more depth. You're not rejecting people, you're refining your circle. It might feel lonely at first, but eventually it feels like truth. And when people say you used to be more fun, you'll quietly smile knowing they've mistaken noise for joy. You don't need to explain your evolution, not anymore. Here's the beautiful twist: when you stop chasing connection, the right people show up anyway. You stop forcing conversation, and the most genuine ones happen. You don't seek company, it finds you, because those who love the quieter, wiser, more authentic version of you, they're the ones who truly matter. So if you're becoming more withdrawn, more selective, more still, don't panic, don't doubt yourself. You're not fading, you're blooming. You're not becoming less social, you're becoming more you. And that, my friend, is freedom. If this message resonated with you, if it felt like someone finally gets how you feel, then don't let this be the last time we connect. Subscribe to the channel. We're creating a peaceful little corner here for people just like you. No noise, no pressure, just real stories, honest reflections, and the calm you've earned. Until next time, take care of yourself quietly and completely.